It's a great bill. It's a massive tax cut. If it's not approved, your taxes will go up by 68%. Think of that, 68, a record, the highest in the history. The Democrats won't approve it only because politically it's so good for the Republicans. The Democrats aren't approving it. But think of what they're not approving. They're not approving border security. We've done a great job at the border, but we have to add some wall. We have to do, various things. We have no money for that. We have no money for the border. We have no money for so many things. But if the Democrats, and it'll be interesting to see if we get any Democrat votes. We should. If I were a Democrat, I would absolutely, maybe Fetterman, because he seems to be the most sensible one lately. If I were a Democrat, I would vote for this bill all day long because it's tax cuts and so many other things that are common sense. They're basic things. I think they're doing fine. The parliamentarian's been a little difficult. And I would say that I disagree with the parliamentarian on some things, and on other ways he's been fine. But we'll have to see. It's a big issue. I will tell you this: if that bill doesn't pass, the country will get a 68% tax increase. So think of this: you're a Democrat and you vote against it. That means you're voting in favor, because essentially you're voting in favor of the largest tax hike in the history of our country. And you can't do that. In addition, we're cutting costs by $1.7 trillion, and it won't affect anybody. It's just fraud, waste, and abuse.
Mr. President.
And it's as simple as that, folks. It's as simple as that. And really, President Trump giving a command performance up there at this press conference. And when you really look at it, Joe Biden, remember 1 year ago, so I think I saw the stat last night, that 1 year ago today was the day that Joe Biden essentially torched himself in terms of his credibility up on the national stage with President Trump at that debate. So that was today. 1 year ago, we had a president when we all realized, the entire country saw on the debate stage, that Joe Biden was absolutely mentally incompetent. And after that debate, that's when it was determined that he could no longer be president. That's when the wheels started moving into motion. That's when people started moving to understand that he would no longer be the candidate, that Kamala Harris would be the one who was pushing forward. Of course, we all know the history. I've talked about the history here on this program. So compare and contrast President Trump today with that command performance that he gave at the press conference, all by himself. Just standing up there, no notes, right? No notes. And he sits up there and he's able to go through case by case by case. He understands the legal arguments. He understands what's at stake. He understands what the pitfalls are. He understands what the challenges are. He even understands, in many cases, the opposing argument and is willing to make those arguments. And he's going back and forth with the press corps. He actually knows the issues better than the press corps themselves. So you got that on one hand, and then on the other hand, you had this guy who was so mentally incompetent that he was letting an auto pen do the job for him. So you have Ketanji Brown Jackson. She's an auto pen hire, right? Don't tell me that guy who was up on the debate stage a year ago today was actually making decisions, was actually nominating Supreme Court justices, was actually signing those pardons. Absolutely not. It's not true. It's impossible. It's absolutely impossible. And Ketanji Brown Jackson, these cases that she's making, and we were going to pull the actual dissent, and you can see quotes from it as well that are out there that are just ridiculous. And she's using catchwords and buzz phrases they feel like they're from morning talk shows. The things that she's saying, that she's trying to put into the legal record. She doesn't cite any precedent. She points out, and others, Amy Coney Barrett pointed out, the things that she's saying, that she's arguing, have not been used by the Supreme Court at all in American history. Not once. Think about this. And by the way, this goes to a broader point that I've been talking about for quite some time now, that billions of dollars have been spent in terms of propaganda, in terms of academia, scholarship, bad scholarship, whatever you want to call it, to make you forget or make you not know what our actual history is, the actual history of our country, the actual history of the United States, the 18th century, the 19th century, and then the 20th century. They've completely covered this up. The only thing they talk about from the 1800s anymore is the Civil War. They don't bring up anything else. The early 1900s, nothing. Just nothing. Like it didn't even exist. It's like, oh yeah, there was some stuff, and then there was the First World War, and that was the thing. But really, the Second World War, and then on, that's the founding of America, right? Liberals don't actually care about anything that happened prior to 1965 other than slavery. That's the only thing that liberals really care about prior to then. And that's where you get they try to do this refounding of the country. They try to talk about the 1619 Project. They talk about all this nonsense, none of which is true in any way, shape, or form. Because that's when our cities were built. That's when the United States became an industrial power. That's when the United States made its name on the world stage. And don't sit there and tell me that the founding fathers were some kind of globalist. No, the founding fathers, I would call them the original isolationists. The founding fathers were the original isolationists because they wanted to set up a nation state that would succeed,